Hi friends, I am going to go over container imagery. This is part of the Personalized Resource Toolkit. So remember, this is the idea that when you are either doing your own self-help work and you need to learn to manage some of your difficult feelings, or if you're going to do something like EMDR therapy or couples counseling that's emotionally evocative, different resourcing that you can do to learn how to manage yourself either in the moment or after the fact. So this, I'm going to read you, I have some paperwork. I'm going to read you the script on the container imagery. This is from EMDR, some EMDR training. So I would say all, I don't know any EMDR clinicians. Let me say it this way. I don't know any EMDR clinicians that don't teach the container imagery exercise. So you can learn it and then you can figure out what your container is like. And then when you start your EMDR therapy or you go to your couples counseling, you'll have a container and you can teach people about the care and keeping of you. So begin with, you want to get into a place where you can get into your mind's eye. So usually that does sound a little bit like meditation in the beginning. So allow yourself to be comfortable. You can be either lying down or sitting up with your back, neck, and spine fully supported, knowing that you will not be interrupted for the next little while, and begin by gently closing your eyes. Now, I always say, if you feel comfortable closing your eyes, great. And if you don't, just soften your gaze so that nothing is kind of coming into your visual field. But with all things resourcing, you want to make it personalized. What works for you is the main thing I'm interested in. So it helps if you're breathing and you can hear your breathing. So an audible breath, paying attention to that breath to kind of just bring yourself into bodily awareness. Okay, that helps us get into our mind's eye. I'm just scanning through my little script. Okay, sorry, pause. Silly me. Now, this is, get yourself into a relaxed place, and then you're going to be building a container. So what the script says, now we are going to be creating a container. It doesn't matter what kind of container it is, as long as it can hold any and all disturbing material. If you were going to develop something like that, what kind of container would it be? Some people have used boxes, safes, trunks, or chests. I've had people use Tupperware, shipping containers. Others have used book bags, knapsacks, or pieces of luggage. It can be anything. A tank, a submarine, an underground well, anything that suits you. Now, the idea is that we're going to have a place wherein we can place disturbing stuff in our mind's eye, like not literally going to be able to put these things in there. But you know how like sometimes you have distressing stuff that you need to attend to, but you can't do it right now? A container is meant to kind of hold it with respect and be a solid container so that you could, in your mind's eye and in your physiology, feel a sense of setting that down. So I want to encourage you not to just set stuff down or put it up on some, theoretical shelf somewhere, never to be looked at again. No, the idea is that, we put it away until we have some appropriate time, either with support of a therapist or on your own in a way that you can attend to it. So we're building the container that you would practice with that. And this is a tool that you practice with. And like all tools, try it, practice it. If you don't love it, let it go. But your EMDR clinician will probably ask you what your container is and will probably use it in your EMDR counseling. So in the case of EMDR and perhaps brain spotting, but I don't know brain spotting very well at all really, they may use it there as well. So if you don't like it, you may have to try to find a way to negotiate that out with your clinician. Okay, so bringing to your mind's eye your container, whatever your container is that you've settled on. You want to bring that to your mind's eye. Bring that image or something like a container, something that you would be able to contain any and all disturbing material. When you have one in mind, take a good look at it. What material is it made of? How is it held together? How big is it? What color is it? Are there any markings on it? You see, we want to get as much detail about your containers. The more you can visualize it, the more you can use it. If there are any markings on it, notice those. If there are no markings, that's fine as well. I want you to add something to your container. I'd like you to add in some way, whether it be a note or a sign or an inscription of some sort. Add a note to indicate that this container is your container, that it will be tightly sealed, that only you can open it and retrieve something from it. Otherwise, it's going to remain sealed. And it can be opened only by you, and it should be opened only in the service of your healing. So take a deep breath, imagining that somehow attached to it. Sticky note, masking tape, a big sign, engraved, however you visualize it. Notice yourself place that message on your container. How does your container open? Does it have hinges or a lid? What's the mechanism to open it? Are you able to open it yourself, or do you need help? Is there a lock on it? If not, feel free to put a lock on there, or several if you need it. Once the locks are in place, we'll experiment with opening it and closing it, locking it and unlocking it. As you do that, notice how much or how little effort it takes to open and close your container. When you feel comfortable handling it, I'd like you to think of something that you might put into the container, just for practice. Do whatever is necessary to open it, and then place something in there. When I say something, I mean anything, really. Anything that may be distressing or disturbing to you right now. It could be thoughts or worries. Right now I'm a little worried that I can't hear the dog, and the dog is outside, and the dog has found a way to breach the perimeter, and I'm a little worried about what she's up to out there. So that's distressing to me. I'm going to put that in the container until I can attend to it in about 2 minutes when we finish. It could be thoughts or worries, bad feelings or bad memories. It could be something that you have to do, but not right this minute. Or it could be something that keeps you from being present with this exercise. It could be self-judgment. It could be doubt. It could be pain. Whatever it is, you're going to put that into the container. Whatever you need to do to get that in there, do that now. Once the disturbing material is in, close it up and lock it. Take a breath and look at your locked container. Notice that the container is securely holding anything that you need or want it to hold. Taking a breath and noticing that, realizing that. Notice how you feel in your body, having set aside whatever distressing thing you put in your container. Can you sense in your body that it's fully contained? Is there something that would stop it from feeling fully contained? If so, we can try opening that container, adjusting it, putting it back in there. We can add to it. Remember that this container is yours and will hold any and everything that you need it to hold for as long as you need it to. Now, imagine walking away from your container so it's no longer in your sight. Notice the feeling in your body now that you are no longer burdened by what you put in the container. Notice your breath, your in-breath, and your exhale. and any sensations of relief that you feel in your body. You might notice your shoulders drop, etc. Okay, so that's kind of the scripted version of it, but let me just kind of guide you through how this would be the way to practice with this. So you have something disturbing coming up, okay? So let's imagine that you had a flashback memory, and you're a parent. Let's say you've got a parent and you've got to get the kids bundled up and ready for school and out the door, driving in your car to the drop-off line, and half hour before when you woke up, you had this memory kind of flashback come. Okay, so this would be a common scenario. So you had a flashback. You need to get your kiddos ready to go for the trip to school. You don't have time in that moment to journal that flashback, deal with the feelings that are coming up about it, because you got to get to the drop-off line. Okay? This would be a time to use the container. So distressing stuff has come up. It's important, whatever that flashback was, whatever that memory was, that's an important thing. It deserves respect. It deserves care. It deserves to be looked at. You deserve to have your feelings and your thoughts about that processed. You deserve to take care of yourself in that way. But you also have an obligation to get your kids out the door and to school on time, right? So with the, very few minutes you have, you take yourself into a place where you can bring the container imagery to your mind's eye. And so that involves relaxing the body, bringing in your mind's eye, your container into your visual mind's eye. Notice yourself opening the container through whatever means it takes to open it, lifting it off, unlocking the things, using the hinge, whatever is involved. If you need somebody to help you open it because it's a giant tank, then get somebody to help you open it in your mind's eye. Notice that inside of the container, it's big enough to hold anything you've got that's disturbing. You take that flashback memory, you carefully place it in there. You notice yourself placing it into the container. As much attention to detail as you can have of the inside of that container and where it's being placed. You're taking a deep breath, remembering that you're going to come back and take this out when you have the time to deal with it. And in the meantime, you're going to put it in a safe place away from what you need to focus on. Place your item in. Notice yourself close it. If it's on a hinge, notice the closure. If it's a lid, notice the lid. If you've got a lock, notice the lock. Hear the lock. Use your key or your combo, whatever it is that's locking it. Make sure you hear it lock. Lots of deep breaths. Walk away from your container. Trust that it is in the container for when you're ready to deal with it. Taking another deep breath. Appreciate yourself for that hard work. It's very good self-regulation. Leave the container. Go take your kids to school. Does that make sense? Then when you're ready, you have a minute to take care of yourself. Or you're in therapy and you're going to open the container with a clinician. In your mind's eye, you're going to open that container, pull that item out, and deal with it. That's the container exercise. Like I said, I've never met an EMDR clinician that doesn't use the container. And the way that works in EMDR therapy is if you're working on like a particular neural pathway related to a certain belief schema, you're working on that neural pathway. It's like a spider web in there, the way that our brains work. And so a lot of times you'll be processing. That train is going, you're processing. If you don't know what I'm talking about with the train, watch my video about EMDR. You're on the train is going, you're processing, and all of a sudden you have this other memory related to a totally different belief schema because it was connected in the spider web inside of your brain. Okay. The clinician will say, okay, good, let's put that in the container. because we're going to deal with that on another EMDR day. We're on a different neural pathway today. So your clinician would say, okay, let's bring your container. And then they're working on your personalized container. Let's say you did a Tupperware. Okay, Debbie, get your Tupperware. We're going to put that in the Tupperware container. So pull off the red lid. Hear the sound of it unsealing. Notice the inside of the container. Put that item in there. Take a breath. Close it. Lock it. Notice that it's in there and it's contained, and walk away from it. And then you get back to your other subject on EMDR. Likewise, couples counseling, right? I say couples counseling because there's a lot going on in couples counseling. So a lot of times people get dysregulated. So if your clinician knows that you're dysregulated, they can say, Debbie, I can see that you're getting dysregulated. It's brought up XYZ, but that's not the thing we're doing right now because we're practicing XYZ skill. So let's walk through the container exercise, right? So this is where if you've taught your clinician the care and keeping of you and what your container imagery is, then they can help you evoke that image, the sound of the Tupperware or the hinge on the storage container. They can help direct your mind's eye and take some of that cognitive load off of you to help you visualize it. What is your personal resource? So that's the container imagery exercise. I hope you will practice with it. It's not for everybody, but practice it a couple of times, especially if you're going to do some intensive therapy. You're going to need that one. If you're not going to do intensive therapy and you don't like it, then forget all about it. I'll see you on the next one.